Welcome into the live stream here. I was getting a couple things set up on this Thursday. It's McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. I'm Neal. That is Tyler Siskey.
What it is?
Oh, you tell me. You're the one. You're the one that just all the insight and takes today.
Yeah. You just partaking.
I'm just minding my own business, man.
Yeah, Brendan's over here trying to get me flamed up on my text messages. So he's trying hard.
Oh, I
might have to turn my phone over in case it gets popped up on video.
I've had to advise a couple of young reporters today. I'm like, hey, tread lightly.
Hey,
hey. Be careful.
Ooh. Yeah, so it is what it is. Been busy today. We got had a school this morning at 9:30, and then, dude, school was out with the kids, and my older two are working. Knox has got to find somebody to keep Knox because Aaron's a school nurse, and they work for 2 more weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, it is like, there's been less logistics getting tanks into Saudi Arabia during the Iraq conflict. It's logistics crazy at the Siskey house right now.
Really, the logistics with military stuff is easy. Zelensky asked for stuff, and we just give it to him.
Give it to him.
You want an F-15? Sure.
Who wants an F-15? I want an F-15. Just going Oprah on them. It's full-fledged Oprah. Oh, it's good stuff.
The stream seems to be working.
Yeah, Clark, we're rolling, man. You need to check out your internet feed. It's working for me.
All right, we're gonna get rolling. We don't have a ton of time today, so we'll keep it nice and tight.
I got another school at 4 today.
Who you got? Are you allowed to say?
I don't think so.
Power 5?
No. School from Alabama. How about that?
Okay.
There we go.
All right.
Did a school from Texas this morning.
Did you tell Stark I said hello?
I said a school from Texas.
Oh. Yeah. Steve and I talk a lot. Welcome into another edition of McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel.
You tried to quick set me right there.
That was quick pitch. I'm Neal McCready. That is Tyler Siskey here on this Thursday afternoon as we get ready for the Memorial Day holiday weekend.
Yeah, I'm rolling with the Kiwi Blend Rainstorm, which Bob lets me know that this is the #1 seller right now in the stores.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the Kiwi Blend. So it's pretty good. And by the way, so I don't forget, make sure we're on audio file. I want to give a happy graduation. Bob's son, Brennan, is graduating tomorrow morning. So he'll be moving on in his career, but excited for him. And
college or high school graduation?
High school graduation.
High school graduation. So, so he starts at ULM in the fall?
Well, Bob, we couldn't get Bob to get him to ULM. So, no, he's a great young man. I got to spend some time with him and some buddies a little over a year ago. He just really smart. Just when you know people are going to be successful.
Oh, yeah.
They got that right stuff about them. So I'm excited for him to see how it moves on in the future. Good dude, man. Yeah, good family, but great kid. And you wonder why. It's a shocker that when your family's like that the kids are like that. Shocker.
Usually works out that way.
Yeah, but he's good. I'm happy for him getting to do that tomorrow. So happy there.
Speaking of Bob, we're brought to you by Rain Total Body Fuel, 300 milligrams natural caffeine, BCAAs, electrolytes, zero sugar. It's got what you need to push the limits and achieve your goals. Check them out on Instagram at Rain Body Fuel to learn more.
All right. I had an old man yelling at cloud moment the other day. It's really not that, but it did get me kind of fired up at the end because I felt like I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but it was just too funny. I felt bad, so I had to talk about it. I go to Walgreens. This was after the show on Monday. It's out of body wash.
Okay.
And so worked out. So I stopped by Walgreens to get some body wash, whatever, right? And I go up there and, I check out and the kiosk, when you put your debit card in, the kiosk pops up. Would you like to make a charitable donation? I don't even read what it's for. I'm in my own world thinking. And for some reason, I just hit the round up button, not realizing that my total was like $12.97. So
you gave him 3 cents.
I gave him 3 cents, and the guy looked at me like, "What a dick!" You know what I mean? Like he looked at me like, "Really, guy? Like, really?" I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was donating to. I felt bad. Like, don't put the roundup as an option to keep people from being like, I felt bad. Like,
Well, here's my thing: is when they ask you, would you like to donate to whatever? Like they do this at Dick's Sporting Goods, for example.
oh yeah,
Would you like to give $1 to whatever? All right. So if I say no right now,
oh, it's a guilt trip.
I'm a bad person.
You're a bad person. But I don't. I usually just say sure, whatever. And I think it gave me options, but for whatever reason, like I caught like $20-$30 or something and like round up, but not knowing that my total was $12.97, right?
I mean, it's 3 cents.
Yeah, but I feel
3
bad.
cents
Like,
they didn't have before.
That's worse, in my opinion. That's worse than donating. I mean, than not donating. You know what I mean?
Sometimes I just say no. I'm sorry that not right now.
Yeah, you're hardcore, more hardcore than I am. I feel bad. Like I don't even know what it was for.
Do you always, like when they come to sell cookies, do you always say yes?
Yes.
No matter how many
I'm a
kids?
sucker, dude. Yeah, I'm a sucker. Like I'm a sucker. Like so now that I said that, everybody that's listening that's got a kid in a 60-mile radius is gonna go hit up Siskey, he'll buy it.
Well, this is where Laura and I are different. She's easily the nicer person than me. I mean, if 100 people met us both and said, which one's nicer, Neal or Laura, they would all say Laura, every single one. Friendly, knows everyone. Yet when it comes to stuff like that, I'm the sucker. I'm like, yeah, I'll buy $5.
Dude, 200% the same thing in my house.
And she's like, no, we're good. I don't need them. I'm like, how did you tell the little 10-year-old girl you're not going to buy cookies? She goes, we don't need them in the house. We've already bought 14 boxes. I'm like, well, I realize that, but that little girl's trying to sell.
Dude, it's the same thing in my house. Everybody thinks
Isn't that funny?
I'm the asshole.
Well, Erin's nicer than you.
She's hardcore, dude. She's hardcore.
No, I know. You know what I mean, though. It's
you know
funny.
what she asked? She did not listen to the show on Monday.
Uh-huh.
When I got home Monday, she asked if she was one of the icks.
Oh.
I could have, but I chose wisely.
You chose diplomacy.
I did. I chose peace.
Although now you are admitting.
But she knew that she was a candidate. she could have been one.
Yeah.
So she asked about it. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like she low key knew that she was a candidate.
Yeah.
But we're not going to talk about it. But yeah, she was.
You chose détente.
I did. I chose.
You were a dove.
Yeah. I chose.
She came in seeking as a hawk, and you were a dove.
Yeah.
You're like, no, nope, no more today.
Yeah, it was great.
Switzerland.
Yeah. All right. See, I'm not as dumb as I look. All right. I sent you I sent this tweet to you. This has been like a week or so ago, and it was funny. This happened yesterday or 2 days ago. So the Oakland A's have reached a verbal agreement with the city of Las Vegas and Nevada, all the people they have to, but moving the team to Vegas. They're going to they're going to build a stadium, 30,000 seat stadium, which sounds really low to me, but whatever.
No, that's kind of the new thing now.
30,000?
Yeah, you don't build the big massive stadium. You build a stadium that
you can expand,
where you have demand, and you put a lot of amenities and things of that nature in, and you make it an event.
So they're going to go 30,000. They're going to put it. They bought, I forgot, it was 150 acres maybe, which is, I wonder how much this real estate bill cost, on the south side of the strip where the Tropicana Casino is.
Right
on the south side.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's the opposite side from like the Raiders.
I think it's the same side.
Is it same?
I think. Pretty sure. I'm not. I get turned around.
We were in Vegas not long ago, and I'm trying to picture in my mind where the Tropicana is.
I think it is down towards the MGM, past that a little bit. I think.
So where's
like closer to closer where the Raiders are?
So close to
side, across the street.
I can't speak. Close to Mandalay Bay.
Yes. Yeah, across.
Okay.
There's like that big wide open space next to Tropicana. I think. I don't know. I'm not a fake. I can't. I lost a couple of brain cells that trip. Here was the interesting part though. So what they're proposing is their lease at the Coliseum.
I drank so much that Saturday.
Dude, it was
wow.
We started with Dan Werner. We had him in there.
Yeah, we were.
And I went and I had like 4 of those 32-ounce.
Was that the morning of the World Cup final? No. The World Cup final was the next morning.
We got up and we ended up going to that was the day of the Las Vegas Bowl.
Yeah.
Because you watched the World Cup final. We did a show and then we went to the Raiders game.
That's right.
That Sunday.
That's right.
So they're going to play in the Coliseum in 24, which is next season. and then they're talking about moving and playing in the Las Vegas Aviators, their AAA affiliate,
Yeah.
25 and 26, and then have the stadium ready to go in 27. So here was the interesting part right here I found. So this year right now,
Can you imagine how hot those games are going to be?
well, it's going to be like a 1.5 billion is what they said. So it's got to be roofed.
No, I'm talking about the 2 years where they play where the Aviators are.
Oh, I didn't think about that because there's no roof.
I mean, July in Vegas, you can't take BP.
It'll be nighttime. Every game will be a night.
Yeah, I know, but you won't be able to take all the stuff that teams like to do, BP and stuff like that. You just won't be able to do it.
Indoor practice.
Lots.
So the Las Vegas Aviators, they draw like 7,000 in attendance right now.
Yeah.
The A's are reporting, which I call bullshit on, but they're reporting 16,000 a game.
No way.
There's no way.
The A's literally from right now, and I mean this literally. I said this to you the other day, and we laughed about it, but then I thought, I'm serious. The A's would draw a bigger daily crowd if they played 2 seasons at Swayze.
Any SEC field.
Yeah. But I mean, pick one that
has good attendance.
When Swayze tops out, it's what, 11 and a half, 12?
Somewhere in there, yeah.
I mean,
you would sell out every game.
I mean, you'd get at least 8,000 a game.
Yeah. I mean,
they're not doing that in the Coliseum right now.
No.
I told you that I saw, and I went and researched it myself, and it was true. You can get tickets behind home plate at A's games, $20. You can get box seats down the first and third base lines, $10.
Better enjoy that while you can, A's fans, because when it goes to Vegas, do you know how hot that ticket will be?
Oh, like when the Yankees come to town, when every team comes to town, teams are going to turn that into, their fan bases are going to turn that into the big road trip.
Yeah.
Just like what we saw when we were at the
with all the Patriots fans.
I mean, there was so much Boston.
I felt like I was at a freaking New England home game.
But like in our hotel, there was tons of Boston.
Yep.
And so at first you're like, what the hell? And then you realize, oh no, they're here. This was the group of guys, right, that are all Patriots fans. Pick a game each year that they're going to go to on the road. Well, of course, if Vegas is on the list, that's a leading candidate right there. And so, like, if I'm a Cubs fan, if the Cubs are going to Vegas, sign me up.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing: is you don't have. Think about the popular time of baseball. There's literally nothing going on out there because the Raiders haven't started. The hockey team will be done.
Sure.
And so for 3 or 4 months, that's the only show in town. They don't have a basketball team yet. And so, dude, they're going to be killing it.
Well, because we went to NBA Summer League last year for, I guess, a couple of days. And they had huge crowds at Thomas and Mack, where UNLV plays. It's a matter of time, I think, before they build a state-of-the-art arena and play NBA there.
Yeah.
Their hockey team, as we saw, draws extremely well.
I agree. All right, let's flip a little bit to the NFL. Got a couple of NFL things we'll talk about. NFL passes. I had good timing on this. NFL passes the emergency quarterback rule. So now San Francisco doesn't get in the situation we were in the NFC Championship game with Philadelphia when they're out of quarterbacks and Brock Purdy's out there having to throw with no UCL. So basically what it's going to be is this is kind of going back to the old rule. What used to be, you used to could carry a third quarterback on your roster, but he could not. He was only to be used in emergencies only. So now you started getting people starting to take that quarterback. Oh, he's our emergency quarterback, but now I'm getting an extra wide receiver or extra tight end or whatever. So they kind of squashed the rule because people were taking advantage of the extra player. So now basically what it is you cannot play another position. You can only go in the game if the 2 quarterbacks in front of you are out. And here's what's funny is if one of them comes back in is deemed to be able to play, you have to go back out again. You can't keep playing.
Right.
So that will be interesting how that gets manipulated. But I think it's a good rule. It's
a good rule, and hopefully people honor it because that's smart.
Yeah.
You don't want to go in with 2 quarterbacks. You don't really have a third quarterback, and then or just you don't want to play somebody or be tempted to play somebody hurt when you could have an option to finish a game.
Yeah, the other thing is like you don't want to you hate to see situations where 2 guys get hurt and you end up with bringing some guy in off the street that hasn't been with your team all year. Now he's got to start on Sunday because you got 2 guys hurt. He has no idea what you're doing offensively. So anyway, got a super chat from Daniel Green here. Thank you, Daniel. He says, I love hearing the icks about travel ball. I coach a 10U team. I love baseball coaching, but it blows my mind how some of these coaches' parents act. You don't have to sell me, boss. That's why we do the icks. Yeah, it's Yeah, Daniel, I get a kick after, if the coaches think if they do a good enough job coaching that the Braves are going to call them up, fire Snicker and call them up and coach the Braves next year. They'll be the third base coach for the Braves when Washington steps down. I think it's what they think. So,
Oh, yeah. You never know.
You never know.
You never know who's at the Senatobia U10 tournament.
You never know, boss. Oh, by the way, some of these tournaments that we're playing in with a 15U now are called exposure tournaments.
Exposure tournaments.
You're getting exposed, all right.
Yeah, damn right. Your bank account's getting exposed.
Yeah, bank account's getting exposed, and can't hit that slider is getting exposed too. All right, Patriots. This came out today. I thought this was funny. I have a little bit of problem with this. I'm on.
Oh, I know something I'm going to ask you about. So go ahead. Go
All
ahead.
right.
Because I read a story today that was intriguing to me.
The Patriots are losing 2 days of OTAs for breaking off-season rules. That's all they say.
Okay.
The reason you're losing OTAs is because basically they're having too much contact during the season, and you snitch somebody on your team, your NFLPA person snitches, and they do an investigation. And if you're hitting too much, we're going to take away your OTA days.
So I read a story about the Cincinnati Bengals this morning.
Okay.
And Zach Taylor, coming off of their Super Bowl appearance a couple of seasons ago, felt like a lot of their guys needed to have a less stressful, physically off-season program. And so he dialed it back. You're allowed 16 OTAs, 10 full practices, 3 kind of practices, and then 3 rookie practices. That's your allotment. Most everyone takes the full allotment. The Bengals are using around half of the allotment, including so far not doing any padded work, very little helmet work. He said that he knows he's giving up reps, and he knows that every rep is an opportunity at improvement, an opportunity to evaluation. It's also an opportunity for injury. And that their science people, their body science people, have said, no. What you want is you want as many players in peak physical performance being ready to go when training camp starts. Those are the reps that actually impact the season. You can lose a spot in April, probably not winning one, not April, but May into June. Better off dialing it back, keeping guys fresh, taking advantage of meeting opportunities, but be physically fresh when training camp rolls around, so that when the season rolls, it's a long, grueling season.
It is.
And if you intend to be a Super Bowl team, that's your goal. And I know everybody says it's their goal, but not everybody's realistically a Super Bowl team. And the Bengals realistically are a Super Bowl contender. If you want to get to that place, you've got to sacrifice some reps now. So they're going to kind of be the poster child for, because it's a copycat league. If the Bengals have a failure of a season, a lot of people go, oh, they didn't work hard enough in the offseason. On the flip side, if they have a great season and they look super fresh, people are going to say, hey, he might be on to something.
All right. So to me, it depends on the level of the player. All right. Joe Burrow is not going to improve. He's not personally going to get any better in these 15 practices. That's not going to make, or 13, whatever the rule is in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's not going to change how good he is this fall. It's not. Now, what it will do is, I'll tell you, somebody can get it as old as he is and as good as he is, that he needs it, is Aaron Rodgers. He's going into a new system,
right?
New languages. And so the more reps, everybody's different.
Well, that was one of the things Taylor was saying, was that, they're going into their 5th season, which is just unimaginable in the NFL. I think it's 5th, maybe it's 4th, whatever.
It's been a while.
Where they have the same offensive coordinator, same defensive coordinator. So you have all sorts of continuity. You're not having to do a lot of installation, except with the young guys.
Right.
You've got a team that's been around for a while. I mean, obviously the NFL has a lot of turnover, but you know what I mean? The nucleus of your team and the nucleus of your coaching staff has a lot of continuity. He was saying that, hey, if you're a first-year coach, you couldn't give away.
No.
But he's been there a minute. But
I'm in the mixed bag. I think you should still have the practices. I do. Now, with that being said, don't be a dumbass. Okay. And then, but anybody that has any common sense as a coach, every coach that's listening, we have a bunch listening. I got another notification today. Somebody told me, or I talked to them the other day, so they listened. I was surprised. But anyway, long story, if you've been a coach, every coach has been in this situation at some point in time in your career. All right, we're having spring practice, or hell, sometimes it's even fall practices, that I got a vet here that's played a lot of football. All right. You can protect your kid. All right. Or even during a week. If you got a guy that's banged up and he's your star and it's week 8, he can get mental reps.
Sure.
Some guys, can learn mentally. Some guys can't. Some guys do need the physical reps or visual guys. That's how kind of like walkthroughs became really popular, right? Is there was some transition. I don't know when it happened. Maybe it was there the whole time. We just didn't know it. But you used to do all of your learning in the film room, right? You would get on the board, you draw stuff up, you'd watch film, and then you go practice. And then you started doing walkthroughs because some guys learn differently. And you started getting, and so I kind of went.
Men are typically visual learners.
I'm one, right?
Yeah.
I'm one. Now I could learn that way off a board and seeing it well enough.
Let me apologize. People who identify as men are usually visual learners. I apologize to everyone for But if I triggered anyone, I want to apologize.
As a coach, if you coach, like I coach receivers, right? So I'm going to have 12 scholarship guys. I'm going to have 3 or 4 walk-ons. There's a good chance you're going to have a mixed bag.
Sure.
All right. So you got to do all 3. You got to do film. You got to do a chalkboard or not grease board, whatever it is now. And then you got to go. I said chalkboard. I've never used a chalkboard. Let me go. I'm not that old. It's always been grease board. Grease board on the board on film, or go out and walk through. And if you do all 3, usually it hits home, right? But when it comes to practices, if I'm the receivers coach at Cincinnati, I still want to have the practices. Hey, but Jamar Chase, hey, come here and hang out with me.
Yeah.
Hey, Tosh. Hey, right.
T.
Over here, babe.
T, come stand next to me.
I want you guys,
just watch,
and then coach up. And what I used it for, and it was important for me in my room. I can't speak for every coach out there, but for me personally, I used it as a chance for those older guys to develop leadership roles.
To coach the younger guys.
Hey, you got him today. That's your guy. And I would tell him, if he screws up, you screw up. And if he did something, he had to run out to practice, I made the old guy run out to practice. I'm not going to kill him. But, hey, let him develop leadership roles and do other things. But, like, if you're at Carolina, they need every practice they can get. New staff.
Sure.
First pick quarterback.
Oh, absolutely.
Houston, same thing. So I'm kind of, I don't know, dude. I'm mixed bag. But here's my point of this drill is you're playing football. So we ask you to hit somebody playing football. Not only are you playing football, you're getting paid handsomely to play football. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to go, if you're coach, if you're playing for this team and they're paying you $10 million to play, if he asks you to go 10 minutes longer hitting a day, don't be a snitch. That's so soft.
Oh, agreed.
Don't be a snitch. You're getting paid $10 million and you can't do 10 more minutes of inside drill when you're having to hit somebody. You're paid to hit people. That's what you're paid to do. Don't be so soft. That bothers me so bad. That bothers me. Whoever snitched, that bothers me. Like, if I found out, and this is where I'd be terrible HR, I found out who snitched, your ass is cut. You don't need that guy on your team. If you're that soft that you can't practice 10 more minutes of contact or whatever it is, like, dude, I got nothing for you. You got to get out of here. All right. Speaking,
you're so mean.
Well, I'm just being honest. That just bothers me. I'm going to be honest, whether you like it or not, but it just bothers me.
Take a break, because I want to tell the people about our next partner, which is Athletic Greens. I take AG1 by Athletic Greens literally every day. Gave AG1 a try because I wanted better gut health, sustained energy, immune system support, and I don't like taking pills. I take AG1 every morning. I love knowing I'm doing something good for my body, giving my body the nutrition it craves, covering my nutritional basis. Covering my nutritional basis for the day literally couldn't be easier, which is why I trust Athletic Greens. I just mix 1 small scoop of AG1 with water, drink it in the morning, done. Costs $3 a day, which is pretty good if you ask me. It's a really effective daily habit with the highest quality sourced ingredients. It's a win-win. If a comprehensive solution is what you need for your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Just go to athleticgreens.com/MPW. That's athleticgreens.com/MPW. Check it out.
You know what? If the Patriots were using athletic greens, then they wouldn't be so soft.
There you go.
They'd be ready to practice.
And they'd have better gut health, too.
They would. All right, so I thought this was funny following this up is the Seahawks, their Pro Bowler, Tariq Woolen, 5th-round pick last year, tied for the league lead in interceptions last year, has to have knee surgery because last week in OTAs, and I thought this was very funny how they worded it, while he was walking at practice, because it was probably one of those practices where you're not supposed to be doing a whole lot, he managed to hurt his knee while walking on the practice field.
Because the walkthroughs in NFL, I was reading about this, the NFL OTAs, the walkthrough practices are literally supposed to be walking.
They are supposed to. Yeah, walkthroughs are rarely walkthroughs. But I thought that was hilarious how they made sure 14 times in that statement that he was walking at practice.
Yeah, he got hurt in a run through.
Come on, like how are you going to tear your knee up walking?
He got hurt.
He didn't step in a hole. You're on a practice field. There was no speed bumps to trip over.
He had a run through.
Like common sense party. Hey, hand raised guy. Hey, let me ask a question.
Yeah,
Hey, got a question for you. Hey, so how did you hurt your knee again walking on that field?
How fast was he walking?
Yeah. Why were you? What got you on that nice manicured lawn that you? I mean, dude, those things are tighter than a fairway now.
Oh yeah.
What'd you trip on to tear your knee up?
You were when you made that cut walking. How fast would you say you were walking?
Yeah.
14, 15, 16 miles an hour?
And
because that's not walking.
And I'm going to be honest with you. If you were walking and you tore your knee up, I got questions about your athletic ability.
Yeah.
I doubt that a NFL draft pick hurt his knee walking.
Typically not a Pro Bowl cornerback hurts his knee walking.
It's not what you do.
No.
Yeah.
But it happens running.
Now, if you hit me with a long snapper, I'd be like, okay, you got me.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the corner. Corner's the best athlete on the team.
Or the assistant linebacker coach.
Yeah.
It happens.
As much as I hate to say it because they're a part of the rebellion, not a part of the dark side, corners are the best athletes on the field.
Yeah.
All right. We talked about him a little bit earlier. One of my favorite NFL players because I try to draft him every single round, first round in fantasy drafts, and he does me good, is my man Austin Eckler. You know, he requested a trade, and the Chargers granted it. He's coming back. Couldn't find any takers. But what the Chargers did do, and you know what? I like this because they didn't have to do this.
Mm-hmm.
This was kind of cool that they did this. Instead of putting more money in his guaranteed salary and all that stuff, they gave him $2 million that he can get in incentives this year. So if he goes out and has the year that he had last year, he'll get an extra $2 million. So they didn't have to though, because they had a contract, and good for the Chargers. He will be a free agent at the end of the year and he's turning 28. You know, by 28's kind of the year that's
you better get your money.
Got to get your money. So they're not tied into him long term, but they did give him $2 million. He will be back, and I'm excited about that. All right. Here we go. So last year, one of our first shows, Matt, can you pronounce it?
Araiza. The punt god from San Diego State.
Dude, best punter to come in the NFL in a long time.
The punt god.
I mean, he got drafted, which is very difficult for a punter to get drafted. 5th round, I think. So he's like two practices
cannon for a leg.
Yeah. He's like 2 practices in with the Buffalo Bills, and he gets cut. He had charges brought on him and I guess filed or whatever, and then a civil suit and an investigation over sexual assault. A lot of allegations. And he gets cut. Did not play last year.
Yes.
And it was national news. And I'm bringing this up for a couple of reasons. One is I think it's very irresponsible for anyone in media to jump to conclusions and start, whether you think there could be the most slam dunk proof case of all time, wait till everything gets settled before you come up with these hot takes, because it makes you one look like a dumbass, and it probably could make you liable.
Okay, so in this case, are you upset at the media because they wrote it, or are you upset because some people called for him to essentially be fired?
I'm upset because they were accusations on what he did and not knowing the truth. It comes out last week. One, the charges were dropped
Right.
in December.
Right.
Didn't hear hardly anything about that.
See, I have a problem not with the reporting that that charges were filed. You have no choice but to report that charges were filed.
I have no problem with that.
Right. I had a problem when this came out with the rush in the media, particularly the national media, to assume his guilt.
That's what I'm getting
and to
at.
convict him and to put the pressure on the Bills to say, see, I understood that the Bills had said, look,
temporary, whatever.
Yeah, we can't play you with these charges hanging over you. But you know what? We're going to stick with you in our roster until this is resolved. And obviously, if you're convicted, well,
you're gone.
You got bigger concerns than this. But in the event that you're not, or I would have done my own self-investigation, and I know the Bills kind of claimed that they did.
Well, there was only so much that you're going to be able to get out of it.
But yeah, now this was. Trying not to get like super.
This happened in August of last year, and then it was December 7th, December of 2022.
Yeah,
the San Diego police came forward and said there will be no charges. They couldn't press charges against him. They dropped the suit or dropped the case.
Yeah.
All right. Then last week, San Diego State University did their investigation, and they released that, and I quote, and it's what they said, there was no findings with him involved in the case. It also came out last week that he
wasn't even there.
He wasn't there at the time of the assault.
Well, and in fact, there's pressure on him right now to settle a civil suit, a countersuit that he has filed against the accuser, and he has said, "Oh no,
Yeah, there's a lot of civil stuff still out there.
He's taking it to the wall."
Let me ask you a question, because I don't know. Maybe somebody in the stream, this is where my attorney stuff stops. And I have a serious question: is how is there still a civil suit towards him if there's no charges from anybody, and then it's come out that he wasn't there at the time of the assault? What would the civil suit be in that case towards him?
Well, I mean, it still has to be adjudicated or dismissed.
I got you. And so it may just haven't been done yet.
Yeah, probably. The civil court system and the criminal court system are not interrelated.
But anyway, he has a tryout with the Jets last week or this week, and the Jets aren't bringing him in the tryout if they don't know.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
So where I get upset. Two things is, one is, and this is a lesson, and I use this as a lesson. I've used Trevor Bauer as a lesson with my kids. I've used and my good friend Hugh Freeze calls these gifts. You need to learn from them, and from whatever happened, he is literally, regardless of what happens from here on out, it was covered national media. Everybody's accusing the guy in the media of being guilty and all this stuff. It's since been proven, but nobody wants to report on that. And so this guy's reputation is tarnished for life.
Yeah, it is
for life.
Yes,
and not only for life, it's taken away his ability to earn money.
Yeah,
for life. Like, he's got money. He's already lost money that he'll never make back up.
Right, for sure.
And now, look, if you're guilty, that's one thing. You deserve it. Go burn in the blue flame.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But these accusations get covered so nationally, and they don't report the facts. I mean, they don't, when it comes to light that maybe he wasn't involved or anybody. It doesn't have to be this guy. It can be any person. They don't cover it at the same amount of urgency. And people don't know. Like, I guarantee you.
Look, one fits the agenda and one doesn't. And I'm just telling you, I've alienated so many people in my field. I have lost so many friends in media because I say this out loud. Nobody, and think of all the people who have really lost credibility in the last 3 years. No one has lost more credibility than the media. No one.
No, I mean,
no one.
It's just, I don't know, man. I just, if you're guilty, you're guilty, but like, there's just no protection or no validation of people that get proven innocent. And that's why I've always said, and we were talking about it before we started, but just make sure you know all the facts before you start calling somebody guilty. I don't care how bad it looks.
Well, that's what
there's always another story.
I've told a couple of young reporters today, who have asked me questions about something that's out there, and I've said, look, you can't write those words without having a lot. A lot. You can't write those words and be wrong. You cannot write those words because you don't know yet, and eventually it's proven that it is, and then you write it. Okay. But there's a rush, man.
There's a rush for breaking news.
Well, and what it is, this is my journalism ick. This is one.
I like it. Let's go. We got some icks.
This is a big one. I benefited so much as a young reporter. Okay. When I worked at the Oxford Eagle, I worked for Don Whitten, who was just a solid journalist. When I worked at the Birmingham Post-Herald, I worked for an editor named John Stade and then a managing editor named Steve Bell. And Steve Bell was the meanest son of a bitch. Like, he picked my work apart. Writing, reporting, to the point where there were times I just wanted to quit. I mean, pushed me to places mentally that and when I went to sports, Chet Fussman was a sports editor. I went to Mobile. I had copywriters, Jimmy Wigfield, Mark Heim, people that helped me with my work. So obviously it made me a better reporter, made me a better writer, a cleaner writer. They challenged me, Steve Bell especially. Wow. Covering courts and cops and stuff in Birmingham. Dude, that guy was relentless. I mean, he was
a busy job.
Yeah, and he was tough too. Like, he'd come back with, red lines all over my copy, and I'm like, God, man, I thought that was pretty good. These young guys don't have that. Young women also, young people who identify as whatever. They don't have it. They don't have it. What they have though is they have in their mind they're not reporters, they're activists,
right?
Or they are they're social influencers. Or they work for like publications that don't have editors. They're basically bloggers, and there's no one to edit their work, and they're in a rush to see who can get it up on Twitter first, who can get the most clicks. And I'm like, hey man, this stuff you got to pump the brakes.
It's important to have an editor in life too.
It is. I mean, well, I've done it for a couple of guys today. I'm like, hey, you need to slow down.
Yeah.
Can I ask about? You can ask a lot of things, but I mean, you need to make sure. Yeah. Just because something's on Twitter doesn't mean it's true.
No, I mean,
and further, even if something's true, before you can report it, it's that whole deal of like, there were days back in the day where, I had stuff. Can you get a second source? But I have it. Well, get another source. I get another source. Can you get a third? I'm like, damn, you just asked for 2. Yeah, well, I'm asking for 3 now. And I kind of got where they were going. I've told them.
How cliquey could you have been?
Oh,
compared, like, if let's put young Neal McCready in this environment right now, how cliquey could you have been?
Oh, I could have destroyed my career.
Quick.
Yeah, I wouldn't have. I was always pretty cautious.
Yeah,
like I was the one on the Mike Price story that night.
What happened?
I was the one in the room going, "We can't go with this. This is."
You were your own hand raise guy.
I was the hand raise guy one night in Mobile where I was putting my foot down. Like, no, there's part of this story we can go with, and there's part of this story that we can't go with. That is not a good enough source. And there were people that night that were like, they could see, because look, 3 things sell in Mobile. Sharks.
It does.
Okay, sharks.
I'm scared of them, but yeah.
Really 2 things. Sharks and football. If there was a way you could put...
You left one out.
What was the other one?
Flaming grilled oysters.
Well, yeah, but newspaper-wise.
Okay.
Headlines, sharks, football.
Okay.
Okay. Hurricanes. Sharks, hurricanes,
for sure.
Football. Okay. And so we have, here you got this Alabama football coach Hadn't been there long enough for people to be in love with him yet. And something's going down.
Literally.
Yeah, well. And
you like that?
And we've got stuff. We got stuff. And some of it was right. And some of it was wrong. And some of it just wasn't sourced well. I mean, I can remember saying the sources on this are strippers.
I know we've talked about it. I would have given anything to just watch you, just stand behind your shoulder and watch you fill out your expense report.
Well, I've told this story so many times that nobody wants to hear it. Literally, when I filed that expense report, you could hear some of the ladies in accounting laughing out loud. Because I was like, $5. And I'd explain.
What are all these itemized $1 bills?
Yeah, well, I was like, the $1 just kept her there. I needed to talk to her. So I had to do I needed to have a private dance.
You have your receipts on this, Neal? Nope, it's all cash.
Nope, it's all cash. Yeah, I remember saying I didn't exactly use my card. I mean, I guess there would have been a place to run the card, but I don't think it would have worked. Yeah,
you were about 10 minutes short of a Dateline episode.
Well, and I was trying to talk, so I give her the $10, and so she starts doing like, "Hey, I need to ask you something," and she's like, "If I stop dancing, they're gonna know, they're gonna figure out who you are." And I'm like, "All right, well."
Oh, she suckered you, dude.
No, I knew better. And you can't take notes. And so you're like,
"Sir, if I stop dancing, they're going to know who you are. I think you should pay for this."
Well, no. That's not what she meant. What she meant was, I was like, "Stop dancing. I want to ask you this. I paid for these 2 minutes. I want to ask you this." And she's like, "I can't. They'll figure out that you're here for something." And what I learned in that, like people say, "What'd you learn in that?" I learned that strippers will say anything as long as you keep paying them. Anything. Because what happened was they told us that he'd come in there, Price had come in there and run up like a $1,600 bill buying. What's the champagne that's so expensive?
I don't know. I've never been there.
I can't think of the name of it right now. The expensive bottles.
Yeah,
that he bought a bunch of those bottles.
Dom Perrier? Their Perrier?
Maybe so. For some reason, I want to say Cristal.
Yeah, no, Cristal's.
Okay,
it's good stuff. Allegedly,
I can't remember. But anyway, that was the rumor, and so I asked. I said, "Did he buy? Did he do that?" "Oh yeah." You know, it was all this stuff, and I was like, "Oh, this is not." And to his credit, when we finally ran some of it by Price, he said, "The stuff about Sammy's, if you write that, it's going to be trouble." And we were like, "What about the other stuff?" And he was like, "If you write the stuff about Sammy's, okay."
That's good shit. All right. Last bit of NFL stuff. I thought this was, speaking of hand raised guys, I just could not help but laugh when I read this. So the Washington Commanders have been denied not once, but twice on 2 different occasions the trademark for Washington Commanders.
Because the roller derby team or something had it, right?
All right, so something about a name or something, but then some guy, and it lists his name in the article, went ahead and like jumped them when they were doing like possible names and just started trademarking a bunch of names and sitting on them or squatting on them, what do they call it?
Yeah.
And they don't have a trademark for the Washington Commanders. And they think if they keep dragging it out and all that stuff they can work some stuff out. But let's go back to hand raised guy. Like, all right, look, guys, I got this idea. We're going to call ourselves the Washington Commanders. Hey, look, my next words out of my mouth are, "Hey, little Johnny, can you look and see if there's a trademark?
Is there already such a thing?
Is there already such a thing?"
Right.
Logically, that would be the next words out of your mouth, right?
Yeah.
Am I wrong on that?
No,
isn't it something
exactly
that you like
right.
kind of do?
Again, I say this to people all the time. Just because people are in high places doesn't mean they're smart.
That's like critical.
Just because someone's a head football coach doesn't mean he's a smart guy. Now, there are lots of them that are, but not everyone is. Not every athletic director is a smart person. Most of them are, not all. Not every university president is great at it. Ask me how I know. Most are. Some aren't. And so just because you rise to the VP of marketing for the Washington football organization doesn't mean that you're the sharpest tack. It might mean that you knew somebody's dad or something like that.
Apparently.
Yeah.
That's like, I mean, when I was coming up with the name for my company and stuff, it's just a little Google machine.
You checked to see if Quick U had already been taken.
Well, my LLC is not Quick U, right?
Right,
So I wanted to name it something, and guess what? It already existed. Like I had like this guy called an attorney. Took him about 15 minutes, and he's like, "Hey, you can't do that one. That already exists in this state." Okay, cool. Like I have a feeling that the Washington Commanders probably have a little bit better access to attorneys than I have.
Again,
Just throwing it out there.
you know, as my coach, my junior varsity football coach, what's his name? Donnie. God, I'm getting old. Started with a B. Anyway, as he always said, you know what happens when you assume?
Makes an ass out of you and me.
Out of you and me.
Yep.
Yep.
It's a good story.
Walk On Sports Bistro puts Donnie Bramlett. Bramblett. I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was a long time ago. Walk On Sports Bistro puts everything they've got into bringing you game day with the taste of Louisiana. Dig into their mouth-watering, made-from-scratch Louisiana cuisine like po' boys, gumbo, and voodoo shrimp, plus fan favorites like juicy burgers and fresh salads, all in front of 70-plus TVs, 40-plus ice-cold beers on tap. Let Walk-Ons take care of your tailgating needs this fall. Inquire today about their family and friends bundles, their tailgate platters. Order online at walkons.com or on their convenient Walk-Ons app. Especially if you're in Oxford or Jackson, Mississippi, check out the Walk-Ons in Oxford or Ridgeland today. MPW Digital will have a hand raise, guys, premiering this evening at 7. It's an interview with Ryan Brown of the Next Round, and also an interview with Olin Buchanan of TexAgs.com. Very football-centric show. I think you'll enjoy it. It is brought to you by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating. Different names, but the same great people, the same great products, the same great services. It's about to get hot soon. You want to make sure that AC is in tip-top shape, ready to handle the summer. If you live in Oxford, Batesville, Tupelo, or the surrounding area, call Comer 662-801-1777. If you live in Hernando, Memphis, South Haven, DeSoto County, that area, get in touch with our friends at Southern, 662-429-4429.
A lot of optimism coming out of College Station, Texas these days.
Yeah, and I know people hear TexAgs, and there are people at TexAgs who can be pretty over the top.
Is that the Rivals part?
No.
Okay.
That's the independent
That's the independent one?
Yeah.
Does Rivals have one?
Yeah.
Do you remember what it's called? Just when I hear them called, I know by reference.
Like aggiel.com
Gotcha.
or something. Anyway, Owen's been around a while, knows a lot of football. He was pretty interesting. I mean, he was very frank about it. He admitted that they've massively underachieved last year, that there are questions that are legitimate questions, because Jimbo was telling people that both Zach Calzada and the other one that got hurt, that transferred out, the one that was the starter, got hurt at Colorado, missed a whole season. Small guy.
That's at Georgia Tech now.
Yeah.
Haynes King. Took me a minute.
He said privately Jimbo would tell people in the media over there that both Haynes King and Zach Calzada were NFL quarterbacks. So, I mean, I tell people this all the time, and you and I have talked about this before. People always like, what do you think about it? I'm like, it doesn't matter what I think. I don't know. I don't get paid to evaluate players. I don't. I've never gotten paid to evaluate players. The people I cover get paid to evaluate, recruit, and develop players. And if Jimbo was telling people, and he apparently was, that those were NFL quarterbacks, it's fair to question his evaluation skills at this point. It's fair to question his development skills. It's fair to question his offense. It's fair to question all of those things. Well, they brought in Bobby Petrino, and they really like Connor Weigman. And there were a couple of games last year, including the Ole Miss game, where
he's the best one of the three.
Where that kid impressed me. And so A&M is one of those teams going into the season that is super interesting, because here's the reality of it. Jimbo's owed a ton of money. They have a ton of money. There's pressure there to win, and to win big, and to win now. And if Jimbo rolls an 8-4, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. And anything less than that, I kind of think I know what's coming.
Can I make a hyper aggressive hot take on May the 25th so nobody will remember?
Sure. Oh, someone will remember, but go ahead.
Bobby Petrino will not be at Texas A&M next year.
Will he finish the season?
Oh, yeah. He's going to get a head job next year.
Okay.
I think they're going to be, based on some conversations, I think they're going to be good enough to where I've almost changed my whole outlook based on some things. I think they're going to be really good. And I think he's going to do good enough to where he gets a legit head job after this year.
I think it's why he took the job.
That's my hot take, is that he does so good offensively at Texas A&M this year. Offensively, they do so good that he will not be at Texas A&M but 1 year.
I think, based on what I've heard, that Jimbo's going to let him do it because, frankly, Jimbo has no choice. Because here's the reality about Bobby Petrino. If Bobby Petrino gets 4 or 5 weeks into this and Jimbo's overruling him, Bobby Petrino's not a 28, 29-year-old kid who's just getting started in the coaching business.
I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't. No, I don't. Agreed. I'm just saying, in the event that something like that were to happen, there's nothing stopping Bobby Petrino from going, screw this, I'm out.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's been happening even there in the spring. I'm under the impression that he has full control of offense.
I am too.
And look, I've said it and I'll say it again. Look, I call a spade when I see it. The guy's a top 5, maybe the best overall offensive mind of my generation, because he's done it in everything. He's gone from old school 21 personnel, let's bang it up against the bricks, running power, to 1 back to 11 personnel. He's done the RPO world, the running quarterback world. I mean, the guy had Lamar Jackson to what's my guy at Arkansas though that ended up being the receiver, Matt Jones. I mean, he's done it. He's done the gamut of guys.
He inherited Jones from Nutt.
I think so.
Okay.
And then he had the other kid that was really good too, 13.
Yeah, they were really good before he ran into his trouble.
People forget about his last year.
They were.
His last year was 12.
I'm about to pull it up.
Pull up 2012. That was his last year. And if my brain's right, I think the only 2 teams they lost to were LSU and Alabama, who played for the national championship. Or no, that'd have been 11.
Here we go. I've got it.
Whatever year it was.
Arkansas Razorbacks schedule 2012. They beat Jacksonville State to open the season. No, that's not right, because they lost to Louisiana Monroe in overtime in 2012. So we're thinking 2011?
Yeah. Maybe it was 11 I'm thinking of. Yeah, because 12 was here. I'm thinking of 2011.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. 2011. They opened with a big win over at Missouri State, blew out New Mexico, beat Troy by 10, lost to Alabama 38-14, beat 14th ranked Texas A&M 42-38. They beat Auburn by 24. They beat Ole Miss by 5. Wasn't no 49-10 game, was it, Neal? That was that day. They beat Vanderbilt, beat South Carolina, beat Tennessee 49-7, beat Mississippi State 44-17, and then lost to LSU at LSU 41-17. They won the Cotton Bowl that year, beating Kansas State 29-16.
So that year, 2011, was his last year at Arkansas.
And the quarterback was a kid named Wilson. I'm looking him up. I don't remember him. Tyler Wilson,
yeah,
from Fort Smith.
So
he was a 4th-round pick of the Oakland Raiders.
I remembered him in high school. But that year, his 2 losses were to the 2 teams. That was the year that Alabama played LSU in the national championship game.
Yeah.
So his 2 losses were to the 2 teams that played for the title. Played for the title.
Yeah.
And they were good, dude. They had the receiver that was so damn good. They were dudes. But anyway, I think they're going to be legit. I really do. I think they're going to be legit. Because if they can score points, like, dude, watch out. It's kind of like Ole Miss, right? I think Ole Miss is assembling an offense that if they can just be average on defense, they'll be really good. They just got to be average on defense. Don't have to be great, just be average. That's what's going to determine. They're just flipped. Does that make sense? Like they're
Yeah.
almost flipped, and what you're trying to get out of them. All right, couple things left here. I know this is right up your alley. ACC has now adopted, or going to adopt it, a success revenue sharing model, to where this was basically on their response, their oh shit response to when all this conversation talk where they were going to get ready to leave the ACC. So based on postseason play, okay, you're going to get your money based on how your team performs in the postseason. Now, the other money will be shared to you. So give you an example. Last year, 72% of their checks that they got, the revenue checks, came from the TV deal. That will still be split evenly. But whatever you do in the postseason, so like if Clemson's going to the playoff, to the national championship game or something, they're going to get more money because they're having more success in the postseason, as opposed to, Wake Forest getting some of their money because they go. Like the SEC's dead split, right? Everybody gets the same stuff no matter what. But the ACC's going based on postseason play, how you do, and the money that you receive, the profits that you make from the postseason will basically go to your team. What do you think about that?
All right, walk me through that again.
All right, so last year, SEC, everybody, there's a big pool of money split evenly.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Starting in 24 and 25, which is coincidentally the first year of the college football playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say Clemson or Florida State or North Carolina, whoever makes a run in the postseason play, the money that you get from those games will now go to you instead of being split to the other teams. Now, the other base money, so last year, 72% of the money distributed to the ACC came from the TV deal.
Okay.
That's still going to be split evenly.
Okay.
So it's basically that last 28% will go to whoever's doing great in postseason play.
Obviously, this is an attempt on the ACC's part to placate the schools that are carrying them in football.
Yes.
I get it. I get it by principle. If I'm North Carolina, if I'm Virginia, if I'm Virginia Tech, this doesn't placate me. This doesn't make me go, oh, okay, well, you know what? Cool. We'll stay here forever. I have a very firm opinion on this, that the ACC is dead. I've told you this. I think the ACC is a pancreatic cancer patient. That here's a better. Let's make it a little less morbid.
Yeah, that was dark.
The ACC is a tree that is dead, but it's still standing.
Tumor's Corner.
Been struck by lightning. Tumor's Corner has been poisoned. The tree is dead, but you don't really see it just yet because there's still some leaves.
Yeah, that's Tumor's Corner, man. Harvey Updike did us wrong.
Yeah, I think that's the ACC, and I have people push back all the time, and I know they go, well, they're locked in until 2036. I just think it's inevitable.
If they agree to this, though, I think it at least gives them a couple of years into the playoff. This may buy them some time.
Well, they're going to get that anyway, because what's happening is that with the ESPN stuff and the streaming stuff and all of that,
contracts are hardcore.
The contracts are hardcore, and I think you're going to see the SEC and the Big Ten say, you know what? Let's go a couple of years with 16 and see what it feels like. Let's try this on for size.
Well, if you put somebody like Clemson that's used to making the playoffs and doing those things, and with the 12-team playoff, Clemson's going to get in. You know what I mean? They're going to get in. I'd go as far as to say Clemson would probably be in the playoff every year since they started their run if it was a 12-team playoff the whole time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to get in at 10-1 or 11-1, whatever it is, right? Maybe that one year they lost 3 games.
Yeah, the question I've got with the ACC and with the playoff is that league, how many teams does the ACC get into a 12-team playoff? I'm going to guess they get 1. And when the SEC's getting 5 and the Big Ten's getting 4 and they're getting 1,
I bet they'll get multiple. You're gonna have the group of 6 team, right? Then you're gonna have 11 more. I think you got to win every bit of. If you win 10 games, you're in. You got to win 10 games.
A 10-2 SEC team's going to get in over a 10-2 ACC
but
team.
There's not as many as you
long.
think, though. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe so. This is my prediction. Your hot take is Texas A&M's going to win the national title.
Your hot take is 10-2 ACC's not getting in.
Your hot take is that Texas A&M's winning the national title. My hot take is
you're going to blast that on me right there. Tyler said.
I mean, what's happened today is Tyler says Texas A&M is winning the national championship. What I'm saying is that a 10-2 ACC team's not making the tournament.
Who do you think a 9-3 SEC team gets in over a 10-2 ACC team?
Yeah.
Wow. I think you can get in 9-3. Depends on your schedule. All right, last thing. We'll finish this thing up here.
Right.
So I even got some question by somebody today, this morning. So camp season's cranking up. It's that time of the year, my friend. It's your favorite part of the year.
Oh yeah, love it. I love June camps.
There's nothing better, is there?
So exciting,
dude. I
love the way you handled them.
Yeah.
Tyler Siskey. I'm gonna give you credit. This guy was the absolute best at dealing with media during camp season.
I got a story about that too.
And when I say that, media that understood how this worked and what was going on and was just trying to get it done.
And go home.
I could show up. I knew what time. I'd show up. And even though we weren't all supposed to be talking about prospects.
Allegedly,
I could go up to Mr. Siskey here and say, who's here that's noteworthy? Don't want to embarrass a bunch of kids because I hated walking up to kids and going, so what's your name? Johnny Johnson. Where are you from? Little Rock. Okay. What position do you play? Because inevitably it's like, you got any offers?
Nope.
Okay, well, you're never going to get one. Or you'd hear like different guys go, go get them. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Because I wouldn't want somebody doing that to my kid. Right. And so I went up to you and I'd say, hey, who's noteworthy here? And you'd take me through 10, 11 names. Anything going to happen today? Maybe this one. Maybe this one. Probably not. Will you let me know if something does? I'll make sure you hear about it. Cool. Have a great camp. Because I'm not the one evaluating. I'm not the one. I mean, if you guys are making a decision on a wide receiver or a running back, no one's walking over to me and going, hey, McCready, what'd you think? Right? No.
I did it all the time.
Well, you did it a couple of times because you like to make fun of me. I'm like, I don't know. He looks like a kid.
What you think, Neal?
But it's the whole, it's top secret, who's coming, who's not.
It was the top secret stuff was a little bit like, I don't know why.
Well, it was allegedly, and look, allegedly this still happens. Sometimes you got to pay the kid just to come show up at your camp. But the thing is,
allegedly.
But if the kid doesn't eventually show up, he's not coming.
Dude, if you can't get him to camp, you're not signing him.
Yeah. I mean, if you have 3 Friday night, light, Gator night, whatever you call it, nights, right?
Yep.
Barbecue, whatever the hell you want to call it. And you can't get the kid to come once?
No, you're not.
He's probably not coming.
I didn't understand. So the rules have changed a little bit, but you used to have like a certain window, right? That you got to have all your camps in a certain window. And so everybody would have their camps stacked on top of each other. And so, dude, at the same time, we're having a camp, Alabama's having a camp, Auburn's having a camp, LSU's having a camp, Mississippi State's having a camp. And it was a competition to get the kids to come. They didn't even have to work out. You just want them on your campus.
Yeah.
This is a shit show. But it's changed a little bit now. And now common sense has kind of reared its head a little bit. So I got questions about camps again this morning, but just to throw these out there that I know that are going on. There may be more, and I just don't know it, so I'm apologizing. But Mercer is having, which is in Macon, Georgia. That's an FCS school. They are having, so if anybody's in Georgia listening, they are having a mega camp on June the 1st and June the 3rd. And when I say mega camp, they have teams they have college coaches actually there from hundreds of teams. It's
so
damn near
a Wednesday.
It's
and
a collection.
Friday. Wednesday and a Friday.
It's a collection of colleges. That's great for exposure for the kids. They're expecting like 1,200 or 1,500 kids.
Oh, wow.
Per day, and they'll break them up in different sessions, and you sign up for. That's great for exposure. and they have them at all levels. Those guys, and they have got it down to a science there. Sanford used to do one. I think they've stopped, but these guys that run these mega camps, they know what they're doing. Our good friends at Troy, John is having one on June the 2nd, and you notice these dates don't overlap, right? So
John's doing one on that Thursday, knowing that a lot of kids are going places on Friday.
Yes. So he's doing one on the 2nd and the 10th of June.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And then Kane's doing one on the 3rd for basically he'll get more kids from Alabama because that's, away. So Kane at South Alabama is doing one on June the 3rd.
Yeah.
But when you have these mega camps that you have, and it'll be posted, it's not hard to find all the schools that'll be there. That's great for exposure. Okay. But also know what you're going for. All right. And so the question I got this morning, we covered it before, but when you're going to, those are fine. That's not what I count going to a big school camp. But if you go to a Monroe camp or a Southern Miss camp, there's going to be less quality players there. And when you go, your kid's probably going to stand out a little bit more and get a little bit more attention. But when you go to these big camps, like when we were doing them at Ole Miss, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say we had 150 kids there or 200 kids at that camp.
Mm-hmm.
There were only about 3 or 4 kids that I was really interested in watching. Okay. You were there one time. I was laughing. We were joking about this one the other day is when Nussmeier was there as a 9th grader.
Oh yeah.
And he was so tiny. And I laughed so hard. I sent him a text. I've sent him several texts, our boy Longo, because he was giving me shit because my dude hadn't hit puberty yet. And he was so small. And I was like, this kid right here, I'm just telling you, because he was like a freak show athlete growing up. It's like, he's going to be a dude. He's going to be a dude. And we had these other guys that were big and mature and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to watch 1 or 2 kids, and the coach is going to spend their time with that kid because they're trying to evaluate him. If they're not trying to evaluate you, you're not going to spend a lot of time with a coach, less development. And so these camps, these mega camps are more about exposure. But if you want to go get instruction, then you need to go to the smaller schools. And he asked me about the Manning. His son was a quarterback. Whoever asked me the question, he asked me about the Manning Passing Academy. It's great. It's nothing but teaching. I think they do a great job teaching down there, and that's good there. But here's my last bit of advice, because camp season's coming up, and it's coming up next week. I'd never understood this. You have to, if you're going to one of these mega camps or you're going to a college camp and you're wanting to get exposure, whatever you call it, be smart and prep your body accordingly. All right. This is a test. This is your final. This is an AP exam or whatever you want to call it. Make sure you go to bed and sleep the night before. Make sure you hydrate properly. Make sure you eat properly. Don't stay up. Hey, I'm going to the camp tomorrow. Stay up all night and play video games and not eat breakfast and then show up at the camp because it's just another day. You have to be prepped and ready to go. I cannot begin to tell you how many kids would show up and they'd run a really slow 40, and I'm taking them off the list. Then I start talking to the kid. He's like, yeah, we heavy squatted yesterday. Like, how dumb is that? Don't go run a 40-yard dash that we have questions on your time. Don't show up and run the 40 after you just did heavy squats the day before. If you're going to a camp and your high school, workouts have already started, just go talk to your coach and let him know, Coach, I'm going to run tomorrow at Ole Miss or Mississippi State or LSU or whoever, Auburn's camp. He's not going to heavy squat you. He doesn't want you to look bad either. He wants to help you. But these kids won't communicate with their coaches. Ask me how I know. I got one in the house. All right, communicate with your coach and let them know what you're doing, and make sure that you're physically prepared for that camp. Like, you will be so far ahead of people, it's ridiculous. Like, we used to have kids when I was at Ole Miss. We would have camps with Mississippi State on the same day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And vice versa. So we'd have a morning, they'd have an afternoon. Dude, if I really liked a kid, and he comes to camp and he shows out, Snoop Connor, if you like a kid.
That sounded like you said Snoop Connor.
Maybe I can't hear.
Yeah.
And, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing after camp? Well, I'm going to go down to Mississippi State and work out after camp. Okay, so you're going down there after you leave here? Okay. I would wear their ass out. I would run the shit out of them. I'd have them so damn tired they couldn't move. Because what was the question on Snoop? It was his speed. Everybody's going to have the same questions. I'd run the shit out of them. Just run them to death. And so they go down and they go run a slow time. Now we're not interested in recruiting them anymore. Just got to work smarter, not harder, Neal. Hey, work smarter, not harder.
You're just playing chess the whole time.
Yeah, but that's my point is if you're going to these camps, and don't do 2 camps in one day.
Right.
Be careful about doing back-to-back camps because your body has to be in tip-top condition. I mean, it's life, man. You can't show up working your ass off all week, and then a guy's gonna be fresh as daisies out there because fresh legs win now. If you got fresh legs, you're gonna win every time. So make sure you have fresh legs.
All right, we're gonna speaking of taking breaks, we're gonna take one. So we will not have a show on Monday. It's Memorial Day. So enjoy your holiday. Be safe out there. Hopefully the rain holds off and things of that nature. Enjoy your holiday. Be safe, and we will be back on Thursday with another edition of McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. Again, our thanks to Rain. We're 78 episodes, 79 episodes in to this show. Just a lot. So,
yep.
For Tyler, I'm Neal. Till next time.